meeting. So we're going to start in about 30 seconds. How many members are online?
You have 159.
No, I only see is Michelle.
Oh, remember, sorry.
Louis, can you hear it well, or is it feedback?
It sounds okay. What microphone is in use?
The hold on. The real tech high definition. Oh, the last one. And then the microphone is that's the.
So we're just waiting for our fellow council members to come on. I just want to acknowledge some members that are here and some members that are here remotely. We have the pleasure of Mr. Morris Altman, who's a former CEC president, who's here as support. We always appreciate your support to the district, Mr. Altman. We have Mr. Joe Kessler, who's here in person, and he also is the first recipient of the Joe Kessler Award. We'll explain that later. And then we have a few of our CEC members here, Superintendent Domingo and Deputy Superintendent Dr. Michael Dentona as well. So we thank you. We always appreciate that you're here in person. We are doing our meetings as a hybrid. So that means some of us are here in person and other council members are here remotely. So I'm just gonna ask Carly if the council members are here and if we can take the roll call. You know who's here, Carly?
Hold on. I see Michelle Frederick really.
If you're a council member, can you raise your hand, please? On Zoom, not in person. So come to the top, Carly.
Sana's here, Shirley's here. All right, Joey.
Okay, so it's now 7:03. I'm going to call the meeting to order and we're going to start with the roll call.
Okay. Joseph D. Benedetto.
Present.
Wing Yu. Present. Anne-Marie Knables has an excuse absent. Joseph Chow. Present. Sung Young Lee. She's here. Shirley. Oh no, hold on. Let me but she did raise her hand. She's here. Rashmi Krishnaraj. I don't see her. Michelle Frederick.
Present.
Sana Tayeb.
Present.
Okay. Okay.
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5. We have 6.
Yeah.
6 council members present. So we do have a quorum. If we have to do any resolution, we can move forward with that. But I'm going to start with just a brief review for the council members of the minutes from last month. And if we can get an approval on that, we can move forward. Do I have consensus on approval of the minutes? What's happening with the chances? Okay, so we have consensus here, Mr. Chow, Wendy, myself. We have, if anyone in the of our council members that are here remotely have any problems with the minutes, please speak now. Otherwise, they'll be deemed approved. Okay, so welcome to the public to our June award ceremony. We typically, as a CEC, want to acknowledge and give an award to those students and members, community members, staff who have demonstrated outstanding leadership in the community. And it's all about you guys. We're sorry that we can't meet in person and give you this award in person, but we're happy that you joined us remotely. And we're going to start with a brief slideshow of the recipients of the awards. And then we will move on with our busy schedule. So, Carly, are you ready with the slideshow?
1 second.
But we're going to move forward by school, and we will read the names of the recipients of the award.
Ready?
On behalf of PS20, we have Shang Miao Zhang, Logan Nasir, and we want to offer our condolences to the staff and family of Scott Brower. PS21, we have Aaron Lee, Ethan Ng, and Ann Brundamarte. We congratulate you. From PS22, we have Bob Singh, Bella Zhao, and Jean Powers. Congratulations. From PS24, we have Claire Zhang, Trisha Patel, and Anna Marie Sension. Okay, and we're going now to IS25, Justin Blanche, Gina Song, and I'm sorry, I can't read the name.
Mr. Pramberger.
And Mr. Pramberger, congratulations.
Congratulations to the recipients of PS29, Ariana Solman, Ian Sanzano, Mary Fosco. Of PS32, we'd like to congratulate Yasimi Abru, Lillian Sun, and Casey Choi. From PS79, we'd like to congratulate Lisa Alexander, Kiki Charcel Vasquez, and Daniel Zhao. From PS107, we'd like to congratulate Angie Young, Iris Ma, and Camille DiBernardo. From PS120, congratulations to Anastasia Khan, Caleb Han, and Joseph Monsioni.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you. I would like to congratulate from PS 129, Jeremy Miha, Javel Jam. And I can see the first name of the last person. Oh, in memory of Catherine Montotis. And from PS 132, Sebastian Martinez Miguel, Jenny Park, and Stacy Dumbolis. And PS 154, is that Nathan Watkins?
Yes.
Nathan Watkins?
Amy Marcel.
Olivia Aguirre, and staff member
Amy Marcel.
Amy
Marcel.
Martellus? I can't see.
Marcel.
What is he?
Marcel.
Oh,
Amy.
Amy Marcel. I'm gonna read from here, if I may. Next. Which was this? You gotta be creative. This is 163, correct? Vivian Chu, Soham Kang, Hausnera Kavoli, Kakoli. Then from 164, we have Adi Medina, Amy Truk, and Dr. Angelica Brown.
So Shirley.
Shirley, you're next.
Shirley, your turn.
Hi, good evening. So I would like to congratulate from PS 165, Tiffany Chan, Ms. Solomon, and Anna Zhu. And I would like to congratulate from PS 169, Ms. Salvador, Isabella Quinons, Victoria Boyajian. I would like to congratulate from PS 184, James Chong, Venus Lee, Miss McDermott. I would like to congratulate from Junior High School 185, Ariana Matzas, Mrs. Gomez, and Harrison Kim. And I would like to congratulate from Junior High School 189, Mr. Diamato, Westerly Felix, Alondra Rodriguez. Congratulations, everybody.
Thank you, Shirley. Is Michelle here?
Yes.
You're on next.
Congratulations, PS 193, David Ramirez, Peter Zubicic, and Jenny Zhang. Congratulations, Junior High School 194, Diane Ventura, Zing Long Chen, Christopher Caronese. Congratulations, PS MS 200, Elizabeth Babayeva, Priyanka Joseph, Mrs. Angela Loscalzo. Congratulations, PS 201, Chesley Daligan, Ray Nee, Logan Kramer. And congratulations, PS 209, Deborah Keegan, Benji Balshin, and Brianna Balshin.
Is Rushni here?
I don't see.
Okay, so it's one thing to have everyone from the community come in person and give these wonderful awards. It's a little different to have it on, remotely, but these are beautiful slides. We have to thank the school for preparing these slides. I'll read the next couple of schools, and we wanted to congratulate from PS 214, George Brooks, Amanda Rodriguez, and Georgia Karolides. From MS 219, we have Genevieve Lauro, Gabriela Pena, and Maria Torres. Congratulations from PS 237. Go back. It's okay. We congratulate Logan Rowe, Aliana Reinhardt, and Roseanne Kibiat. Next, we have PS 242, correct? We have Mason Cook, Elena Perdikopoulos, and Sophia Tozer. Congratulations.
That was from 242. One more.
We got one more, 244, correct?
Yes.
We have Laura Q, Oscar Liu, and Enron Wang. Congratulations. Next, we have Sana coming on.
Good evening, everybody. From IS 250, we would like to congratulate Raquel Mendez, Jerry Wong, and parent coordinator Courtney Askins. Congratulations. From Bell Academy, we would like to congratulate Sophia Ko, Danielle Queen, and Lori Belcastro, who's also a parent coordinator. From College Point Collaborative, we would like to congratulate Jody Silvero, Sutton Darstall Applegate, and Michael Baxter. Congratulations. From Pre-K Center Whitestone, we would like to congratulate Lori Thompson and Sophia Molina. And from PK Center College Point, we would like to congratulate Denise Riordan and Carlos Ferez. Congratulations, everyone.
So congratulations to all those members of our schools. You make our community so proud of you.
Joe, I'm sorry.
Before we go to the next, oh, I missed the school?
Yes,
I'm sorry.
we missed a slide, so sorry. From PSIS 499, we would like to congratulate Nahima Walcher, Nahima, I'm so sorry for the mispronunciation, Baltodano, and Mauricio Rojas. Congratulations again.
Congratulations, and my apologies, Sana, for jumping in. But again, we are very proud of every one of the recipients. I'm going to introduce you now to our Deputy Superintendent, Dr. Mike D'Antona, or actually to the Superintendent, who's going to present the Big Apple Award.
Big Apple Awards is a citywide recognition program celebrating New York City teachers who inspire students and model great teaching. So it is my honor and privilege to celebrate Courtney Dixon, Hayren Han, and Jennifer Loprofito.
Congratulations. Next, I'm going to present to you Deputy Superintendent Dr. D'Antona, who's going to present the Youth Leadership Council.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Thank you to Di Benedetto. Super excited about this, and just to give you a little context, this is the first ever youth leadership team for District 25. So our students have really pioneered this work. And Carly, if you can go to the next slide, just so that everyone can see what they worked on. So as a group of students across our district middle schools and K-8s, they developed a vision for what their work is going to be as a group of students. And that is that they believe as a youth leadership team that we must stick together to be the student voices of our district and bring student feedback to adult decision makers in order to improve our schools and create a stronger community. As a team, we will help schools become better, standing up and providing for each other, using our best ability to advocate for students' voices by engaging with peers and speaking up for ourselves and our school communities, and acting as role models for other districts. We will make sure that we will always be the roots, building a powerful, inclusive community, because without roots, we will tip over and crumble. This team has worked really well with two of our teachers that I do want to acknowledge and thank so much, Ms. Marlena Nadler and Elizabeth Levine, who took out extra special time from their schedules and actually asked and requested an opportunity to do more in the district. So we thank them so much for working with our students. And the following students have participated about 8 times over the last 3 months, meeting on Thursday afternoons. So I do want to acknowledge Ariana Aquino, Antea Pasanaj, Christopher Cotan, Sophia Ko, Laura Laporte, Genevieve Laboro, Joni Lynn, Carmela Mercheca, Catalina San Clemente, and Barbara Lynn Stewart. Congratulations to all of you, and we are really, truly looking forward to seeing all that you're going to be bringing to District 25. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Dr. Danton, and congratulations to the youth leadership team. And next we have the Joe Kessler Award. For those of you who are not familiar or don't know who Mr. Kessler is, he actually came to our meeting and he's here this evening, so I'm going to introduce him in a moment. But the Joe Kessler Award goes to that one staff or community member who exemplifies what Mr. Kessler exemplified when he was the UFT representative for our district. And it's awarded to the person that shows outstanding leadership, sportsmanship, and dedication to the community. And before we announce the recipient of the Joe Kessler Award, I'm going to put Joe on the spot and have him say 2 words.
Hi, everyone. Before I announce the winner, I'd like to congratulate all the recipients of the awards tonight. It is a great accomplishment. And so the Joe Kessler Award, this is the 4th year, and we collaborated here as a team with CDC, with Superintendent Domingo, President Joe DiBenedetto, and we decided on somebody very special to our district. She's very involved with our community. She is always involved in CEC, and she is a leader. She is a principal, and she comes from Junior High School 185 Bleecker, Teresa Mashar. I'm so proud that Teresa wins this, and the collaboration that she does with her school, the community, parents, teachers. Thank you, Teresa, and we look forward to working with you in the future. Well deserved.
Thank you, Mr. Kessler, and congratulations to Principal Bashar. Congratulations to all of our award recipients. Once again, we are very sorry that you could not be here in person. We will be sending certificates to all the recipients and acknowledge your dedication to the community and how very proud we all are of you. So once again, congratulations to all of our recipients. Job well done. You make our community what it is, and you make us very proud. Congratulations. I also, as your acting president, have the honor of my predecessor and a wonderful president that served before me, who served many years on the Community Education Council, Mr. Morris Altman, and I wanted to give my gratitude for all your service and your helping me during my term. And I'd like, maybe you want to say something to the community as well.
Well, thank you, Joe. It's been a pleasure representing this district and community for many, many years. And I wanted to say that it's wonderful to see all of you getting these awards tonight. And what really makes you achieve is what comes not only from what you've learned in school, but what comes from inside you. If you dedicate yourself to something, you can do it. And you've done it. Congratulations.
Once again, congratulations to the recipients and all their families. You should be very proud. So we have a very busy evening. We have its Office of Food and Nutrition here.
Good evening. This is Nicole Scarangello, the Director of Menu Management. Myself and the nutrition analyst for Menu Management, Nicole Bonica, is on as well. We were just wondering, we were just seeing if the supervisors were on that actually had the presentation.
So yes, are they here or do you want me to wait?
Yeah, no, I guess they're not, on.
Okay, we can wait a few minutes. We'll come back if you want.
Okay.
Just let us know when they're here.
Presentation. I just need a minute to load the presentation.
Take your time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to our superintendent's report, and then we'll check in with you again. And if you're ready to move on, we'll move on. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Good evening, everyone, and I would like to take this opportunity and echo everyone here tonight and congratulate all of our students and staff members for the award they received today. I think over the past few years, winning awards of service is more special than ever. To be able to give yourself in a time where it is very difficult. There's a lot happening around us. There was a lot happening in our schools. And for all of us to take that time to make sure that they're giving back to their community is very special. So I want to give a big celebration to that. I also want to take an opportunity to celebrate Ms. Bashar on winning the Joe Kessler Award, and welcome Joe Kessler back here this evening. It's been a while, and District 25 always loves to celebrate with Mr. Kessler. And to say that Ms. Bashar is a true leader, and I'm really happy to celebrate with her tonight. So congratulations. So I have two reports tonight, but I think we'll just do the superintendents and then we'll turn it over to school foods. So happening in enrollment, gifted and talented applications are currently open, and the deadline to apply is June 13th. If you're interested, New York City families with children entering kindergarten, grade 1, 2, or 3 this fall are welcome and encouraged to apply. Results, including any offers, will be available in late July, and you can visit www.schools.nyc.gov/GT for more information. The 2022-23 school calendar is now available at www.schools.nyc.gov/calendar. And remember, as a reminder, September 8th is the first day of school in 2022, and Tuesday, June 27th is the last day of school for students. Promotion and summarizing for grades K through 8. Promotion letters for students who are being retained in June will be sent home to families between June 6th and June 10th. Summer school letters with summarizing and other summer program information will be sent home to families by Monday, June 27th, and summarizing begins on Tuesday, July 5th, 2022. The last announcement I have is I'm very excited that last week, Schools Chancellor David Banks announced a new curriculum designed to center the experiences and voices of the Asian American and Pacific Islander community, a milestone step in our ongoing commitment to support AAPI students in our public schools. The initial Asian American and Pacific Islander in the United States guide will include profiles of individuals, portraits of an era, and pedagogical guidance to support teachers to integrate these resources within the themes and narratives taught in New York City. With the guide as a foundation, the Department of Social Studies and other content teams from the Office of Curriculum and Instruction will develop multidisciplinary lessons for each grade level to amplify student engagement and highlight AAPI history, culture, and contributions. To support instruction and complement the curriculum, the DOE will purchase and make available culturally diverse AAPI trade books. Once developed, the curriculum will be shared with all schools and supported through a comprehensive professional learning plan to bridge information gaps and ensure the effective integration and implementation of the curriculum. Professional learning with teacher help will help teachers support students in the exploration of their identity, provide richer learning experiences, and deepen all students' appreciation for the contributions of the AAPI communities.
Thank you, Superintendent. And I just did want to comment that last month we had a presentation here by Wendy, you kind of ran it. You want to say something about it in support of? Oh, you were not, but your school came. No, that was the month before. Yeah.
Thank you. So I'm happy to say that the work that we're doing in District 25 is very aligned with central work around culturally responsive and sustaining education. One of the things that I did speak about at our town hall is the work that we're doing in recognizing the many cultures across our communities. And I was really proud of the work that PS32, under the leadership of Principal Deborah Arrigo and their teachers, they worked with the Korean consulate and professors from across the nation in the design of units of study and celebration of the Korean culture. So what we are doing alongside the work that's happening at Central Teaching and Learning is we are creating resources that are also supportive of the cultures and communities that exist across District 25. And I was happy to say, and I was talking to Wendy about the fact that the work that we are doing is very similar to the curriculum development that's happening at Central as well. So there's fact checking and resource guides that our teachers are being exposed to. So I'm really excited to hear that our work is aligned with the Chancellor's vision and mission around being culturally responsive.
Exactly. And I wanted to also congratulate Wendy for pushing that as well, because it seems like we're all on the same page and we do see some progress from the city. So all good stuff. We did get, the Chancellor did issue a statement this afternoon that he is focusing on proposed changes to mayoral accountability and class sizes, which is a good thing as well. And there are some proposed changes to the panel for education policy. Actually, they had the vote for the PEP members a few days ago, and we are excited to announce that the PEP parent member is elected this year is Mr. Tom Shepard, and we'd like to congratulate him. And we also congratulate Adriana Aviles for her presentation, and they were the two finalists. Mr. Shepard is now the PEP parent member. Okay, so is Office of Food and Nutrition Services ready with their presentation, or?
Yes, we are. Hi, nice to meet you.
So would you like to introduce yourself to the community? And we're going to give you the floor.
Okay, so hi, sorry,
you got
Nicole.
it, Nicole?
Yeah, so hi, I'm Nicole Bonica. I'm the nutrition analyst with OFNS. And I have, I'm a registered dietitian. I have Nicole Scarangella with me as well. She's the director of menu management, and she's a registered dietitian as well.
Nicole, I don't see the presentation.
Oh, I'm sharing it right now. I'm sharing my screen. Share. Okay, and then from beginning. Okay, do you see it?
Yes, we see
yes.
it.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, special food. Yeah.
All right. You want me to do it, Nicole?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Next slide. So welcome, everybody. We're really happy to be on this call and be able to support, you know, the community. We've been joining CDC calls across the city over the last couple of weeks, and it's been really great to engage the community. So just the first slide.
Here? Nicole?
Hi, you hear me? Sorry. So just a little overview. We currently have 25 citywide menus, which is supported by 500 plus recipes. These recipes change often, so that that number could change as well. We service 1,800 schools, which is about 1 million students, and about 900 meals daily. So just a little fact, every item and recipe that is on our menu does go through student taste testing. We used to hold student taste testing up at headquarters in Long Island City, and we used to have students come up there about 3 times a week and test our products. But during the pandemic, we had to switch that up. So we currently go out to schools, and we like to test at least 25 to 30 students when we're out at a school, and we do it before lunchtime. It doesn't happen at lunchtime. And for any product, or like I said, recipe to even be considered to get onto the menu, it needs to receive a score of at least 75%. And we need to have at least a sample size of 100, 115 students for it to even be considered that score. So like we said, if you are interested in student taste testing, and even during the summer, we continue it as well with sites that are open, you can share that with the district supervisors, and then they reach out to our department, and then we put the schools in queue so that we could, we contact the principals, and then we line up a date where the menu management team will come out and conduct student taste testing with items that we are looking to put on the future menus. Next slide. Just some things about some information about our breakfast menu, seasonal fresh fruit. So you're going to start seeing that we do change our fruit on the menu monthly. So right now, going into June, we're going to start seeing plums, nectarines, peaches, and then going into summer, we'll start seeing watermelon, honeydews. So we do a lot of seasonal fresh fruit that supports our breakfast menus. We use local dairy items. So our yogurts and our milk are local. They are from New York. And all of our items are either going to be, or everything, low grain, low fat, high in fiber, and definitely going to have limited sugars. And we do not currently offer juice anymore on our menus. We used to have juice as an option for breakfast, but in the beginning of the year, we did discontinue that. And juice is available still to a nurse who puts in the request for a student that has diabetes or may have some other type of medical accommodation where juice is required. Next slide. Just some information about our lunch. Currently, we are supporting Meatless Mondays. We've had that went into effect, I think, right before the pandemic. We had started Meatless Mondays. We do have Plant-Powered Fridays, which we started in the beginning of this year. We are reducing our processed deli meats and pre-made sandwiches. So you'll see them continued through this summer, but then going into the fall, though, the deli meats and our pre-made deli meat sandwiches will no longer be on the menu. I mentioned local, when you see green on the menu, that means that it is from New York. So, we are trying to support New York whenever possible. I mentioned the seasonal fresh fruits, but that also goes with vegetables too. So we use a lot of fresh produce. We of course have our frozen items when are necessary, but a lot of our produce, our broccoli, our cauliflower, our string beans, our spinach, everything that supports our salad bars are all fresh produce. So that is a big spend from our commodity program too, the DoD Fresh program. We allocate about 15 million into the DoD Fresh program to support that local and seasonal fresh produce and fruit. We do have multiple daily options. So, even though we have a featured item, right, we have multiple items that are also, provided to the students if they request it. So peanut butter and jelly, cheese sandwiches, tuna fish sandwiches, turkey sandwiches. These are all located on the bottom of the menu as our daily options. And we also then identify the menu with a V for vegetarian and a VE for vegan. So if you look at the posted menus, you'll see that too. And that just helps students who may have a particular allergen or you know, have some diet that they're following for some religious reason, you know, that does help them with making certain choices, those identifications on the menu. Next slide. I had mentioned a little bit, you know, our salad bars. We were so happy back in April when we got the go ahead from the Department of Health and the CDC that we could reopen salad bars. They really are enjoyed by students, and we really, you know, we encourage principals to, you know, support our salad bars when possible. I know in the past, you know, sometimes we haven't been able to do them in certain schools, but, you know, I would say about, you know, 1,000 schools do have salad bars. And, you know, if we don't, it's something really to consider, because students have the opportunity to try new things, you know, go up for unlimited amounts, and they really do enjoy it. Next slide. We did just, yeah, so just mentioning the Plant Powered Fridays, it is part of, you know, it's not going away. We are definitely going to continue to be plant powered all over our menus. Like I said, we've been identifying, you know, vegetarian, vegan now for some time. And we will continue to get new products and develop new recipes that are, you know, plant-based. So going into the fall, you are going to see a veggie nugget that's going to be supporting our Friday menu. And you're also going to see a veggie burger that's going to be introduced to our menu as well. Next slide. This little slide right here does tell a lot of great information. So up on top, it's letting us know what we have to offer for components and what we, you know, for each meal. So breakfast, we are going to offer fruit, a grain, and a milk. And then for lunch, we're going to have a fruit, a grain, a milk, a vegetable, and a meat alternate. So this is what needs to be offered at each meals. If for some reason we're doing an express, meaning, you know, it's being pre-packaged and sent to a classroom or breakfast in the classroom, we don't have the option of doing offer versus serve a lot of times. So you may see all components being served. But when we're doing a traditional line service, we're offering, and then students, you know, could pick and choose as long as they take, you know, a vegetable for lunch, you know, and a fruit and milk for breakfast, you know, they're in compliance. To the right is just showcasing some of the standards that come through for each item under the New York City food standards. So at the item level, we are looking at, you know, sodium and sugars and portion sizes, fiber requirements. And a lot of this is really being guided by the New York City food standards, which was actually updated and released in the beginning of April as well. We have been in compliance with the food standards for many, many years, and we will continue to adhere to them. So there will be some updates we have to make in the regards to the new release of the standards that just came out, and we have into July 2023. An example would be yogurt. Right now, the standard prior to the new release was a 4-ounce yogurt could have 15 grams of sugar. So we meet that, but now the new compliance for yogurt will be recommended to be unflavored and have 12 grams of sugar for a 4-ounce yogurt. So we will now, you know, do a procurement where we look to, you know, possibly get a new yogurt to meet the standards. So, you know, we're constantly making those updates as needed. And then in addition, we have the federal requirements, which is the National School Breakfast and the National School Lunch Program. And those requirements are a little different because they are done at the meal level and they are looked at weekly. So we run, you know, we build menus daily, of course, and we're looking at nutritionals daily, but then the report itself is, you know, looked at as a weekly analysis, and it is very specific for certain age groups, calorie ranges, sodium restrictions, and that's the federal requirements that, that we need to follow it to. Next slide. This is just, you know, this is just some examples I just presented in regards to the federal, state, and city, you know, city example, city standards. But then we also have, you know, OF&S standards. We have an extended prohibited ingredient list that really helps us restricts sodiums and certain preservatives and added sugars. And then we have specifications. So each item actually has like a contracted specification, which may call out something very unique to the item. Like for instance, our chicken tender on the specification states that that item has to be no antibiotics ever and humanely raised and 51% whole grain. And you cannot, you can't service that product to our children unless you're going to adhere to that standard that you're being, approved for at the point of, of contracted services. Next slide. We've most recently during the pandemic right before the pandemic, we started certifying halal schools. So we have moms that come in and go into our kitchens and make the changes that are necessary so that it could be certified to serve halal products. So, if you do have a school in your district that you feel would benefit the community as becoming halal, we just ask that you share that with your supervisor. And then, we could begin the process of getting that certified. I think we have about 70 schools right now across the city that are certified halal kitchens. And what that basically means is it allows us to serve, we have a halal chicken tender and a halal chicken patty. So that certification of that kitchen allows us to serve those items. And in addition, we work with the imam consultants in reviewing all of our products. So we give them the information, the ingredients from our products, and they review it with the vendor and get all the needed information to say, hey, this item as well could be, served as a halal approved item too. So we have citywide menu in these schools that are then identified with an H to let you know that, this has been approved by our consultants and can be served as a halal item that day. Next slide. So we do some accommodations, menu accommodations I want to speak about. So, food allergens, if you need any information in regards to food allergies, we could always share product labels. At the point of service, if a child knew that they couldn't have cheese or something like that, that accommodation could be made at the point of service. And then if it is a more restrictive allergen, plan that needs to be in place, or there is some type of, disease like a celiac disease or something like that, where there needs to be a certain diet, then a 504 medical accommodation would be provided to the nurse and then the school food service manager and sent up to our team so that we could coordinate an action plan and, be able to offer that child a meal as long as the parent or guardian is comfortable with the plan that we put into place. In addition, we do have alternative milk choices. We have a lactose-free milk, and we have a soy fortified milk that is available to students with a written request. That request would go to the nurse, and then the nurse would provide to us, whether that child is seeking to have the soy milk or the lactose-free milk, and then we would bring that product into the school and have it available for the students. And then once again, chocolate milk is on our menus, but if it is requested by the principal in the community to not serve it, that would always be granted as well. Next slide. So the cafeteria enhancements is a really great change in our cafeteria that we have been receiving funding, federal funding for over the last, I would say, 4 or 5 years. Basically, we received this funding, and we have high schools that, we could turn more into like a college campus dining. It happens over a weekend. All the equipment, everything is brought in, and within a weekend, we changed the entire service area for these students. And like I said, there's then featured daily options. There's the items that are served all the time, right? So just for instance, pizza might be an option that is served every day to these students, along with multiple, different grab and go salads, and a hot featured item as well, like a roasted chicken. French fries might be something that is offered all the time with other, vegetables too. So it happens for breakfast and lunch. And, it gives the students the freedom of feeling like they're really making their own choice, what they're having for lunch. And they really, they appreciate the change. And we see a great increase in our participation for lunch and breakfast when those service models are implemented. So there is, I know, a list of schools that are next on the round of funding that we get, but I know that it is our director's goal, Chris Terrico, to try to have all high schools, across the city change to the CUC module over, the course of the next few years. Next slide. I think that might be it. And that's it. Yeah, so if you have any questions, let us know, Nicole. Me and Nicole could definitely, help answer some questions you may have.
So it's always a good thing to see these wonderful accommodations. I'm not sure if any council members have questions for you, or if there's anyone in the chat or somebody has a question for the Office of Food and Nutrition Services. I'd ask that you raise your hands and we can talk about it now. Correct. You want to ask? Okay. This is for September, correct? This is for the coming school years.
Well, I mean, a lot of these things are happening now. I spoke a little bit, just because we're in June and we start seeing some of the things that are going to happen for September. So I did mention some, changes that will be happening for September. But a lot of what we just spoke about is happening right now.
Yeah. Perfect. Are there any other questions? Wendy has a question for you.
Sure.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. My question is, for students who have celiac disease or who has a peanut allergy, BLE is able to plan a menu for that student with the allergy or disease?
Yeah, so through a 504 medical accommodation, under the ADA, what we do is we create an action plan. And while we may not have specific items, right, that are gluten-free, like, we may not have individually wrapped muffins and breads and stuff currently that are gluten-free. We do have many items that are identified, as not containing gluten and being gluten-free facilities, produced in gluten-free and wheat-free facilities. So what we do is, we work with the parent and the guardian in reviewing these labels and reviewing these items and creating a menu that, first of all, the student's gonna like, and also that, is gonna be, free of that allergen. So sometimes, and it's a coordination, it really is. It's the principal understanding the plan, it's the school nurse, possibly a para, and the parent and the student really understanding how we could, make this accommodation. And then we train our school staff, like for instance, so that there's no cross-contamination. We'll make sure that they have a separate cutting board and a separate station where they prepare these students' meals. And then usually what happens is there's, an identified person that, will be providing it to them. So they come we know exactly what time they're coming down to the lunchroom. And then that meal is set aside and given to them when they come in. They know right who to come to and get their meal. So sometimes, a student says, hey, listen, I want a grilled chicken Caesar salad every day. And that's okay under, the medical accommodation and the proper, filing for that medical accommodation. And, it makes them happy that they're being able to, still eat and enjoy the meal program and also get something that is nutritious to them and that they like.
Thank you for your explanation. I have another question in regards to milk. There's a lot of students with who are lactose intolerant, or they have milk allergies. I know some children, they can't drink whole milk. Are there any other substitute like soy milk or almond milk that will be introduced?
Yes, currently we have a fortified soy milk alternative. And like I had mentioned, we have a lactose free. So depending on what what the request is for, we just need a written, we need the written accommodation request from a medical professional to have on file in the nurse's office. And usually on that accommodation, they also specify if it's a soy milk they're looking for or a lactose-free milk. And then that information would be provided to the school food service manager, and they would then be able to bring in that product to provide to the students.
Thank you.
Thank you. So
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments in the chat regarding food and nutrition services? Okay, so once again, thank you very much for your presentation. We always look forward to your accommodations in our schools, and we appreciate everything you do as well. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you. We appreciate your support. Have a good night.
Have a great night. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye now. So next, I'm going to the Department of Education this past month had wanted the communities to engage in parent groups such as ours, advocates and others on the proposed uses of federal stimulus funding as well as state contracts for excellence funding. So as part of this public engagement process, we have our superintendent who is going to give the contracts for excellence presentation, which is next.
Good evening, everyone. I'm joined here tonight with Dragomira Koliva. Dragomira, can she unmute herself just in case?
Yes, hi.
Yes. How are you, Dragomira? Thank you for joining me here this
Thank you
evening.
for having me.
So Dragomira will be here at the end of the presentation for anyone who has questions regarding the contracts for excellence funding. So greetings and welcome. Tonight, we're going to discuss some supplemental funding streams that we want to specifically make sure we collect public feedback about. These streams supplement the main source of funding in our schools, which is fair student funding. First, we're going to talk about federal stimulus funding, which we are using on a variety of initiatives to ensure we can address academic recovery following the pandemic, among other priorities. We will then talk about contracts for excellence funding, which is a state funding stream that has existed for approximately 15 years. Longtime CEC members know that we typically bring this to you in the fall, but we want to make sure you get a head start this year so feedback can be collected before the school year begins. Next slide. No.
It's not the
No, it's not. Contracts for Excellence, C4E, is a state funding stream which has existed since school year 2007-2008. Approximately $531 million in New York City school funding is subject to the requirements of Contract for Excellence, C4E. New York State Commissioner of Education has set the amount of C4E funding at $531 million annually since school year 2011-2012. C4E is a subset of the total state foundation aid amount allocated to New York City. Foundation aid is New York City's primary funding stream to school districts. Unlike foundation aid, C4E may only be spent for certain purposes and is subject to additional allocation requirements and monitoring as set forth in the C4E legislation and the New York State Education Commissioner's regulation. C4E funds must be distributed to schools that meet certain requirements and must be spent by those schools in designated program areas as set forth in the Contract for Excellence legislation. Funds must support any of the following specific program initiatives: teachers and principal quality initiatives, full-day pre-kindergarten programs, model programs for English language learners, middle and high school restructuring, class size reduction, and time on task. Schools should use these funds to meet their overall educational goals as outlined in the school's comprehensive education plan. Funding is allocated to schools based on needs weights published by the New York State Department of Education that account for the number of students in the following categories attending schools: English language learners, students in poverty, students with disabilities, students with low academic achievement or at risk of not graduating. Capital improvements and school construction, go to the next slide. These are my notes. Capital improvements and school construction are the domain of the New York City School Construction Authority and are not part of CFRE funding or the DOE's budget. State CFRE funding breakdown for the 2022-23 school year. Of the $531 million subject to contracts for excellence, $183 million is unrestricted. Since 2007-2008, this funding has been used to support fair student funding. Were this funding not used for other purposes, the DOE would not be able to continue funding all schools at 100% fair student funding. The remaining $348 million must be used for the specific purposes set forth in the law: teacher and principal quality initiatives, full-day kindergarten, model programs for English language learners, class size reduction, middle and high school restructuring, and time on task. As the amount of contracts for excellence funding has been unchanged since school year 2011-2012, New York City uses this funding for the most part to maintain existing programming. Next slide. Proposed allocation of restricted funds. Discretionary. $214 million or 61% of restricted contracts for excellence funds are released to 1,400 schools in the late spring. These funds may be used by these schools for any allowable purpose under CFRE. The allocation methodology, how much funding goes to each school, is set under CFRE legislation, where funding must go to our neediest schools as determined by needs weights provided by New York State Department of Education. Principals will work with their school leadership teams to plan the use of this funding for school year 22-23. They may choose to change the use of funding or to maintain existing staffing positions or programs that were funded in school year 21-22. Targeted and maintenance for efforts. $134 million or 39% of restricted funds will be targeted for specific programs and will maintain these existing programs. Schools receiving allocations were chosen based on A, overall student need, and B, capacity to carry out the specific program, with $90.7 million integrated co-teaching classrooms or ICT, $30 million for summer programming maintenance of effort, $90 million for full-day pre-K, and $9 million for full-day pre-K, and $4.7 million for autism spectrum disorder ASD classrooms. Next slide. The proposed allocation of restricted funds for District 25. For discretionary, which schools may spend on allowable program areas, is $5.7 million or 59%. For targeted, and schools must spend on this purpose only, which is ICT, $2 million or 21%. And targeted, schools must spend on this purpose pre-K, $0.4 million or 4%. And targeted, where schools must spend on ASD, $0.4 million or 4%. And summer programming maintenance for effort is $1.2 million or 12%, with a total of $9.7 million. Timing of CFRE engagement. The way in which schools utilize CFRE funds is subject to consultation with stakeholders. This is achieved through public engagement at each district CEC and at borough hearings, as well as public comments submitted to the DOE. In alignment with the Chancellor's deep commitment to public engagement, the DOE is meeting with stakeholders months earlier than in prior years. Feedback is collected from this process and considered in planning funding utilization. For school year 2022-23, the DOE will complete CEC engagement by the end of June and plans to hold a public hearing in each borough on the citywide C4E plan during the month of June. Those dates will be posted on our website, which can be found at infohub.nyced.org/reports. You can move it up a little bit. /financial/contracts-4-excellence. We will take public feedback into account in the coming weeks as we continue to develop a citywide contract for excellence plan. The deadline for submitting public comment is July 5th, 2022. The public may comment on any aspect of the plan, including how schools should spend their discretionary funds within 6 allowable program areas, how the DOE is allocating the targeted contract for excellence funds to schools, and the public comment process. Educators, parents, and all other members of the New York City community may submit their comments by email to contractsforexcellence@schools.nyc.gov. How schools schedule their contracts for excellence funding will be posted to our website in the coming months. Next slide. Make sure, this is for stimulus funding. And next slide, just make sure you don't get my notes. Keep going. Keep going. Okay, right there. SRSA funding must be liquidated by September 30th, 2023. The DOE's school year 2022-2023 budget includes $1.8 billion of stimulus, primarily from the following 2 revenue streams: Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act, or SRSA, which was enacted in 2020. The DOE received a total of $2 billion from SRSA, which can support activities from school year 2021-22 through September 2023. The second funding stream is American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA, enacted in March 2021. 20% of ARPA funding must be used to address learning loss, defined as academic impact of lost instructional time, and with a focus on high-need students. The DOE received a total of $4.8 billion from ARPA, which can support activities from school year 2021-22 through September 2024. The DOE portion of CARES, which was enacted in March 2020, has already been fully spent. The DOE has already spent the public school share on maintaining existing services since the state budget supplanted state funding aid. Next slide, skip over my notes quickly. Go, 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 go. There you go. As part of the executive budget in April, Mayor Adams and Chancellor Banks announced their plan for stimulus funding. The mayor's new initiatives directly support school budgets in the 2022-23 school years, which include $176 million in additional funding on top of an existing $60 million investment to support Summer Rising, the city's expanded summer program that will connect 110,000 elementary and middle school students to fun, culturally relevant, hands-on experience to strengthen their academic, social, and emotional skills. And Summer Rising also provides programs to 100,000 high school students participating in a variety of different activities, including summer youth employment options. $160 million direct to school budgets to support schools with enrollment declines. This $160 million investment will ensure budget stability for schools which have seen pandemic-related enrollment functions. So Summer Rising is being funded through ARPA, and the direct to schools for enrollment declines is being funded through SRSA. As part of the executive budget in April, Mayor Adams and Chancellor Banks announced their plan for stimulus funding. Other new priorities include $49 million for contracted school nurses to continue providing nursing at all DOE school buildings, $33 million to expand career pathways programming funded through ARPA, $11 million to expand bilingual education classes and supports funded through ARPA, $11 million to expand parent engagement and translation and interpretation services funded through ARPA. These are all funded through ARPA. $10 million for new digital teaching and learning experiences, $9 million for CBO provided violence interruption activities in high-need schools, $7 million to expand literacy and dyslexia programming, and $2 million to expand gifted and talented programming. Over $1 billion of stimulus in fiscal year 2023 will directly support school budgets. In addition to the $236 million in new investments in summer rising and the $160 million supporting schools facing enrollment declines, the DOE is continuing the following investments in school budgets. $456 million for 3K expansion funded through SRSA. This includes 3K provided by DOE schools as well as by CBOs. $225 million to support academic recovery activities and special education recovering services funded through ARPA. Funding supports compensatory services, arts, enrichment programming, tutoring, after-school programming, and more. $79 million to support social workers, guidance counselors, and school psychologists. This continues last year's investment through ARPA funding. Taken together, these investments in school budgets total over $1 billion this coming school year. Next slide. DOE's stimulus plan continues to invest in other key programs such as school budget support, Mayor and Chancellor's priorities, both covered in previous slides, devices and IT support, other academic supports, school opening costs, community school expansion, PSAL expansion, and others. The following chart under fiscal year 2023 plan is in millions. So altogether, it's 1,777 million total stimulus programming. Stimulus funding is prioritized for special populations in New York City public schools. The $225 million in academic and special recovery funding is based on student enrollment with additional weights to target schools with students in foster care, students in shelter, students in temporary housing, ELs, students with disabilities, and high-need students funded through ARPA. Special education recovery services funding is targeted specifically at students with disabilities. $71 million of our academic support budget is targeted specifically at special education pre-K. Over $60 million investment in community schools is targeted at schools with high needs, including large populations of students in temporary housing. And the mayor has announced an additional $11 million for bilingual programming this year. What are next steps for stimulus funding? Let us know what you think. Please send comments and feedback on the overall stimulus plan to stimulus2022@schools.nyc.gov. Slides are accessible at the following link and upon request at the info hub that I announced earlier. We will collate comments and feedback for consideration as we continue to plan for the next school year. Principals will receive their budgets for upcoming year in late spring. All schools will receive some stimulus funding this year, and school leadership teams will work with principals on budget priorities as plans for the upcoming year are finalized. Next slide. Questions? Comments and feedback on stimulus funding can be sent to stimulus2022@schools.nyc.gov. Comments and feedback on contracts for excellence funding can be sent to contractsforexcellence@schools.nyc.gov. Comments must be shared by July 5th. And remember, principals receive their budget for the upcoming year in late spring and are thinking about what to do with next year's budget right now. School leadership team will work with principals on budget priorities as plans for the upcoming year are finalized. So after this slide, we can take any questions or comments.
So each school gets a budget every year. Is that, that budget is not shared with the parents, but they're shared with the SLT. So let's say, you know, how would SLT get feedback from the parents of that school?
So Dragomira, I guess I would need your feedback around this. I do know that budgets are shared online on each school's website, but I don't know when they go up. Do you know when that goes up?
I don't think we have firm dates for fiscal year 23 yet, but usually end of June, maybe early July, the school allocation memorandums would be published. And that's where this is public access. So this is where you can see school by school, pretty much any allocation, not only C4E, not only the stimulus programs, but any other allocation is published on a SAM. Most of them are published on a SAM, and the SAM describes the purpose of the program, some strings attached, any conditions, any history, and also gives the amount by school.
Yeah, so Wendy, those are two things that we talked about at our SLT training. So the school budgets are posted on the website, and Dragomir was saying at the end of June, but also school allocation memorandums, which are certain funding sources that the SAMs direct schools how to spend those, those dollars. Did I explain that correctly, Dragomir?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So there's two ways that parents can gain access to what goes into a school budget, right? So there's the overall school budget, which talks about fair student funding. Fair student funding has no limitations to it, correct, Dragomir? Well, there's, you can't just spend it on anything, but it doesn't have the same limitations as contract for excellence or other funding sources that are allocated in the SAMs. So one of the things that this presentation does talk about, and I like that they're releasing the budget information early, is because if you're a member of a school leadership team, one of the things that you should be doing right now with your principal is talking about the needs of your school for next year and aligning goals. Those are due at the end of June, and many of our schools have engaged in that work. The problem is we've never really had all of the funding to really discuss this. So now we're talking about this early so that school communities, like what you were saying, as well as SLTs, can really align the decisions that they're making about how to fund school goals appropriately. And then come July, one of the things that I do as a superintendent is I have to sign off on the alignment of the work that each of our schools does in terms of setting their goals and aligning the budget to those goals. Does that make sense? So Dragomir, I guess to answer Wendy's question, which was a little bit simpler than where I went, is can SLTs discuss school budgets with their constituencies if they're not released? So if SLTs are looking at their budgets and they're not out yet, can they say, like, we want to go talk to the parent body and get some feedback from them, and therefore, can we talk about what we're thinking of spending our money on?
I mean, the processes of SLTs communicating with the larger community is probably better fit for FACE, the Office of Family and Community Engagement. I know that they always recommend as a good practice principals to communicate that to the SLT, to communicate their expectations, their plans. So that could possibly start ahead of time now that there are some numbers out. But in terms of, specific processes, you can email me and I can connect to face, or Carly can probably connect to face, and maybe collaborate on that venue.
The reason I'm asking this question is because our school 107 is very diverse. I think 10% of our 10% of the student population is temporary housing. And then we have IEPs, we have L, so we do need a lot of resources. So we want to, at our next SLT meeting, we want to bring up, how to allocate the budget with our principal, but we also want maybe feedback from the parents of these students, right? What do they want for their children?
Well, I think you can, all of the subgroups that you were just talking about are funding sources in the budget, right? So if schools have certain, and we learned about that when I spoke earlier, we said a certain amount of allocations go to special needs students, English language learners. So you can start engaging with those families about their needs without necessarily addressing the budget and then coming back to the table and saying, like, these are some of the needs that these families are saying that they would like to see at the school. And then the discussion can go from there around what is our actual allocation.
Yeah.
There are also parent representatives that serve on the SLT that should be reporting to their parent, I would assume, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. The parents are definitely involved in the SLTs, so they should be also giving the information to their constituents, I would assume. But good point.
Yeah, I think you could definitely start to survey families to say, where would you want us to represent you on the SLT? What are some of the needs? Where would you want to see your needs live within goals, within action plans? So then parents would be able to communicate that to their families.
It's good that it's being presented at an earlier stage. Are there any other questions? Mr. Shah, any questions? Any other council members have questions? Anybody in the community, if you have a question or comment, I'd ask that you raise your hand. Okay, so as the superintendent had indicated, any comments are open until July 5th, I think. Okay, so if you do have any comments or you want to give any feedback, I ask you to go on the site, right, and submit your feedback. Okay, so moving right along, do we have any? Before we get to new business, do we have anybody who on the public speaking list? Anybody in the chat that would like to speak? This is the time for you to raise your hand. He was just here. We just acknowledged he was here. Yeah. Okay, so we have no public speakers at this time. How about items of new business? Mr. Coe, I just see that you raised your hand. Of course.
Can you unmute yourself? Tommy?
Mr. Coe, are you able to unmute yourself?
That's not, I don't see it.
Okay. Can you guys hear me now?
We can hear you.
Okay, yeah. I guess I had a question, I guess, more for, because you guys are talking about two points, I guess. One is I had a question because you guys are talking about funding. I mean, I'm on the SLT for Townsend Harris High School, and obviously some of the one of the program that a bridge program to Queens College was cut back 2 years ago. Now that we have a lot more funding, I'm just wondering, how do I, as an SLT member or as a school, how do we try to get that funding back for that program where we have for college credits for some of the kids in our school? And how do I go about trying to get that funding that was cut 2 years ago, initially when the pandemic first happened, to get reinstated? How do I go about that is one question. And I think it sounds like we have a lot more funding than we did back 2 years ago. That's number one. And I guess the second question I have was, I'm a little still confused by, I guess statement is, I'm a little still confused by this whole, the interview for the superintendent's role again. And I know I called in earlier in the week about that, and I'm still, I don't quite understand. I guess it's more of a question for the DOE. I don't understand why we're going through that process, because if the schools and the community is happy with the superintendent we have, what is the point of going through all that process? I understand the new administration come in, they want to review it. I don't quite understand that whole process, that thought process behind that DOE, more of a statement and question for DOE on that side of it.
Okay,
because
so
otherwise,
Mr. Cohen,
okay.
We'll talk about your second question after, or we can talk about what the first one regards the budget, right? And then we'll get to the second question.
Thank you.
And I know that there are other people that raise your hands. We see you. We'll get to you.
So good evening, Mr. Coe. So I'm not 100% sure, although SLTs district-wide are K to 12. So I do know that Townsend Harris has attended our SLT training. I'm not exactly sure what funding source you are referring, but what I can say is a reference for you as an SLT member. In our district, Paula Latito is our budget support person. She often comes to SLTs and explains to the SLTs where funding sources come from, what that looks like, and we do offer her services to go in and support SLTs to talk about the budget. So I do recommend that you speak with the principal or the high school. You could always email the high school superintendent to ask who your budget support person is and ask for them to come in and talk to you about the funding source that you were talking about and why that cut happened.
Okay, and then I'm also on the SLT for Bell Academy as well. So for Bell Academy, is that the person that you were talking about?
Yes, Bell Academy is Paula.
Okay.
So
okay.
Mr. Abbott can make that recommendation. I can organize that for you, but she comes into your SLT meetings and really speaks through the budgets with you, talks to you about the funding sources, where they come from.
Okay, great. Okay, appreciate that. Thank you.
Superintendent DeMango, I'll just add a reminder that we do have the stimulus funds, and that does look like a huge amount of money, but it comes with certain priorities. I just want to remind the public and the members that it's about school supports, it's about academic supports, about regaining lost academics, about IT, about reopening, expanding community schools. So I'm not, like you said, I'm not sure about that program, how exactly it was funded, but those monies that we're talking about come with strings attached. And the CFURI has been going on the same way for many years, so there's not a lot of room for expanding there. And the stimulus funds also has those very particular strings, and they have to do with lost instructional time during COVID. So the bridge program, I do agree that maybe Paula could consult on the funds that it was funded with and why those are reduced. If it was a grant, maybe it just is about reapplying. If it's tax levy dollars, then she can look more closely at the school's budget.
Okay, great. I'll follow up. Thank you very much. I just needed to contact you follow up. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Mr. Cole. Now, before we get to Dr. Chan, I just wanted to address your second comment. So Mr. Cole was commenting about the town hall that we had last week, where we were asked by the Division of Leadership to conduct candidate interviews regarding the superintendent's position. Many in the we took the feedback from the community. We have Juliana Fedorov here from FACE, who will probably, are you here, Juliana? Will comment about the C37 process and hopefully answer your question or your concern, Mr. Cobb. Juliana, are you here?
Sure. Thanks, Joe. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry, my camera's off. The storm's affecting my my internet strength right now. So the C37 process itself involves the CEC, the President's Council, and other bodies in reviewing the superintendent finalists when there is a hiring process taking place. However, after community engagement and speaking with, after the Division of School Leadership spoke with a number of parent leaders across the city, it was clear that parent bodies wanted to have more of a hand in the process earlier on, and that rather than only allowing CEC members and president's councils, only allowing those parent body groups to see the candidates and to hear their interviews, the whole community wanted an opportunity to hear from the superintendent candidates. So the town hall that happened was in addition to the C37 process, which is simply a reference to the number, the chancellor's regulation that talks about superintendent hiring. And so this was an expansion of community engagement, an expansion of an opportunity for the community to hear directly from these candidates in an effort of this DOE administration's commitment to listening to parent feedback and implementing that. I'm happy to explain further if that's not clear, or if there's a follow-up question. I would also say that you can email the Division of School Leadership at divisionofschoolleadership@schools.nyc.gov. I can put that in the chat here in a moment.
I'd appreciate that, Juliana. I'd also like the public to know that we heard the comments during the feedback portion of the town hall. I will be attending the C37 process. I also invited my fellow council members to join me, and before the evening's over, I know that Wendy was interested in coming. Anne Marie Knable told me she'd like to be there. So if there are any other council members, please let me know so I can add you on to make sure that your appearance is there, so we can stand up and give our opinion and stand up for what the community wants. Next, I'm going to go to Dr. Dennis Chan.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Good evening. We can hear you. Yes.
Hi. I just want to make a smaller comment. I just find it disheartening that the council hasn't passed an anti-Asian resolution. The whole purpose of trying to get the anti-Asian resolution passed early in the year was to support John Liu's bill to get Asian American history into the curriculum, which the chancellor already announced last week. It's kind of weird that when we have, for example, BTS, a world-renowned pop group, making a statement at the White House about anti-Asian violence, but yet CEC has about 50% Asians and they're not being represented. Just want to know what the holdup is of passing an anti-Asian resolution. It's kind of.
So Dr. Chen, we did in fact bring up the possibility of presenting a resolution to the community. We have a very diverse CEC here and a diverse community in District 25, and other groups felt that it was not fair to exclude them. So we have a subcommittee that would like to prepare some type of resolution that would be inclusive of all groups and not exclude any particular group. We are against anti-Asian hate crimes, as everyone in the community is, but we have other groups that felt that they were not properly represented, and the issue was brought to the council for a vote, and unfortunately, the council felt that we should not exclude any other group. If there are any other council members that would like to comment, this is the time to comment.
Hi, Dr. Chin, how are you?
Hi.
We previously had a committee that we brought the resolution to the table for a vote, and we could not all agree to the resolution. And we have renamed our committee to Diversity and Inclusion Committee. And we will look into this further, and we will come up with our own resolution. So it's not just anti-Asian hate crime. We want to be more inclusive of the other minority groups. And I completely understand, as I am Asian myself, that anti-Asian hate crime is extremely important, especially we're in District 25. We have a large majority of Asian community here, and we will not forget that. Okay, thank you.
I appreciate that. But it's kind of weird when, like, for example, there's another CEC council, I'll just say it, 30, they don't even have one Asian council member, and they were able to pass an anti-Asian resolution, but that can't be done in 25. I understand the need to be all inclusive, but I think the timing is right for it, right? So 2 years ago, there was a Black Lives Matter, movement, and then some people were saying all lives matters, which, I agree with, but the timing wasn't right. I think the Black Lives movement at that time, 2 years ago, should have been just for that particular, and then all these other groups are saying, oh, it should be all lives matter. I understand everybody wants to be inclusive, but everything is about timing, right? So this past year and a half, there's been an uptick in Asian crime. So yes, we want to be inclusive, but we don't want to sort of, not be inclusive, but I think the timing is right just for an anti-Asian. That's just my opinion. And
understood, Dr. Chen. I believe you're from District 26, correct?
Yes, I have.
I believe your district already prepared a resolution that was sent to the City Hall, correct? So yeah. Every council is free to do what they vote on, and unfortunately for you, that resolution did not pass in our district. It doesn't mean, as Ms. Yu indicated, that it's over. We still have a subcommittee, and we will take it on in the future. But at this time, we don't have a resolution that we could all come to agreement on. Are there any other council members that like to comment? Thank you. Okay, so are there any other members that in the community would like to speak at this time? Okay, so we have no one else on the list. We want to thank you. I'm going to take on the new business. Actually, during our last CEC meeting, we still have vacancies on our council, which sometimes makes it very difficult for us to vote on resolutions because we don't have as many council members as we should. We are still waiting for our two appointed individuals from the Queen's representative and borough president. He has not named our two borough president appointees, so we're missing those two representatives. And we have another vacant seat in our council, and we've had two very qualified candidates that submitted their applications, and we as a council were permitted to take a vote on their admission, and we've been stagnated at three for one, three for the other. So I'm going to, I know I said I tabled the vote for this meeting. I'm going to ask the council members another time if we could perhaps come to an agreement on who our new open seat would be assigned to regarding these two candidates. So we've interviewed them, they've spoken before. We have Eden Rubenstein and Crystal Gonzalez. And I'm going to ask the council one more time if we can take a vote on who we would like to sit on this council. So I vote for Crystal Gonzalez.
Eden Rubenstein.
Eden.
And then the members that are here.
Eden Rubenstein.
Crystal Gonzalez.
Michelle, are you here?
Can you hear me?
No. Now I can hear you.
Crystal Gonzalez.
And Sama Zayed.
Sorry, Eden Rubenstein.
So, Juliana, this is where I'm going to need your assistance. So we have a quorum present, and we have 4 voting for Eden and 2 voting for Crystal. Does that mean that we have a new representative, or are we supposed to get 6 votes?
Good question. You still need 6 votes.
Okay. So unfortunately, we are not able to come to agreement on the 2 candidates because we're still split at 4-2, unless anybody wants to have any discussion about it. So we are still stagnated on the selection of our council member, and we are stuck with not having either candidate because we don't have the 6 votes necessary. If we had the borough president appointees, perhaps we would be able to come to agreement, but as we stand today, we are unfortunately for Eden and for Crystal, we are not able to have either one of you join us at this time. And I'm sorry about that. Okay, so next we're going to move to new items of business. I see I have on my desk here a resolution. We spoke at our last CEC meeting. We went into executive session regarding the increase in salary for our administrative assistant. And I was given the wrong information. I have to come clean on that. I was told that if we give a raise to our administrative assistant, it would only come out of our budget this year. I was misinformed because we now were advised that any increases in salary for the administrative assistant would come out of our budget every year. So that may change the way we want things to happen. I was also told that the maximum that we could ask for would be $9,027, I believe, and $9,024. And that would put if it puts our administrative assistant to the max, she would be capped. But understand, council members, that if we take the $9,024 out of our budget, we will no longer be able to use that money for the future. We have $25,000 in our budget. If we agree to increase our administrative assistant salary by $9,024, I'm assuming that also includes, that will be inclusive of the fringe benefits. And Juliana, if you can correct me if I'm wrong, or Dragomira, you're here, maybe you can advise us.
Yeah, it would be helpful. I'm not sure about the fringe benefits.
Dragomira, are you able to give us some information regarding the fringe benefits if we ask for an increase in the salary?
Since your monies are tax levy, then the fringes are paid differently, so it doesn't have to be included in the salary.
So the question I had, will the fringe benefits come out of our budget?
No, so it won't be in that increase if you choose to do that.
Understood. So the increase in the salary would just come out of the budget, not the fringe benefits, is my understanding.
Correct.
Correct. But that would be every year.
I mean, I have to say that changes in the past. When that happened, eventually budgets were restored, but that was probably 5 or 6 years ago. If they're telling you that it's going to be a permanent reduction, then I'm going to have to go with what FACE is advising. But in the past, even if they were taken from the budget for the following year, then 1 or 2 years later, they were restored. So, I've had mixed experience.
Yes, and I can confirm that Dragomira is correct on that, is that there have been instances when the budgets have been restored. We just don't have any guarantee on that.
Understood. So what happened was during our executive session last month, we had agreed on a number which now would be capped at $9,024. So does anyone on the council have any comments, concerns, questions, and is anyone interested in signing off on a resolution increasing the salary? Mr. Cho?
If I may, it was a mistake for the prior council not have given her a raise. I did some calculations here, but that's all smooth now because you came up with a number. I think it's only fair that we increase her salary. Whatever amount that everybody agrees to, I will agree to. Because for someone not to get a raise for 7 years, it's not fair. I did some numbers. If she were given a 3% raise, like the UFT, the CSA, and everybody else, she'd be making a lot more, like, well, $51,654 to be exact. Instead, she's down at the lower number. So whatever everybody else agrees to, it doesn't have to be 9,000, whatever, it could be 9,000, whatever. I'm agreeable. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shah. Does anyone else have any comments?
I agree to the increase to the administrative assistant salary. Yes, the 9,024. Our administrative assistant's very helpful. She is on top of us all the time. She sent us reminders, emails, and I think she does a great job, so she deserves the raise.
Thank you, Wing. Any other council members on remote who'd like to comment?
So if I may.
Go ahead, Sana.
Yes, I would absolutely advocate for the highest allocation that's possible. Like you said, $9,024 in this case. Again, in line with what Wendy said, that Carly's our administrative assistant is amazing, and she's working around the clock. This is not a job that finishes at a certain time in the day. Unfortunately, they're constantly going back and forth with the emails, with coordinations and all that, and a lot is involved. It's a very exhaustive work. So I would absolutely advocate for the highest amount.
Thank you, Sana. Anyone else on the council?
I also like to say one word. I do absolutely agree with raising our administrative assistant, because she makes all of us, we have our own jobs, our lives, but she makes everybody gather once a month for us to represent. She prepare everything for us. If we get lost in track with the work or family, she always remind us what to do. So she's very helpful. And another thing is, I do understand that they put 9,024, and I just want to know if that's the highest amount that we could.
So I am told that is the maximum amount that we can give to as an increase to our administrative assistant. I want everyone to understand that it's going to affect our budget, right? So our budget right now is $25,000 per year. If we agree on the increase, our budget will then be limited to $16,000 and change. I know we haven't used much money the past 2 years because of the pandemic, but in the past, we did use our money towards certain events. I don't believe it was near the 16,000, but this is something that's going to affect future councils. So I don't think it's something that we should take lightly. It's something that we should really consider and understand what the implications are for the future. So just wanted the council members to understand that. I'm not sure if there's any other council member here that'd like to comment. And I believe we already have a resolution prepared, and then we can take the vote on it. Yeah, no. Does anyone else on the council want to make any comment about it? Wayne?
How much did we spend this year of the 25,000?
So what's our budget?
About $1,000.
About 5,000.
1,000. Yes.
That's not great. That's a no-brainer.
So this year we used about $1,000. I think the last term we had purchased pre-COVID. I wasn't managing the budget back then, but Carlia, you might remember. I think we expended about $10,000, right? $10,354, and we used it towards CEC member reimbursements for travel expenses, and childcare, our meeting expenses. We leased a copy machine, and then we had some award ceremony certificates that we bought. We had provided some food to the SLT training. We had a Queens Zoo event, but during that year we spent under 11,000.
So with 16,000, we're still ahead of the game, right?
It's 15,000 change.
I agree. I think it could work. I just want the council members to understand before we take the vote what the implications are, right? Are there any other comments from the council members? Carly, are you able to put the resolution on screen? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the resolution, and then we'll do a roll call vote and decide this evening if we are going to increase our administrative assistant's salary. Okay, so this is called the resolution for the reallocation of the annual budget towards CEC 25 administrative assistant salary increase. Whereas the Department of Education allows for community education councils to allocate a portion of their annual budget for the salary increase for their administrative assistant. And whereas in 2019, Community Education Council's annual budget increased from $20,000 to $25,000. And whereas council members recognize and acknowledge that the deduction from their annual budget will recur annually, therefore be it resolved that Community Education Council, CEC 25, agrees on Wednesday, June 1st, 2022, to deduct $9,024 from their annual budget for the purposes of salary increase for the administrative assistant, Carly Everett. We'll take the roll call vote now. Either you're going to approve or disapprove or abstain.
Sana Tayeb.
Approve.
Win Yu. Sung Yoon Lee.
Approve.
Michelle Frederick.
Approve.
Rashmi's not here. Joseph Chow. Approve. And Joseph D. Benedetto.
Approve. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 6 votes approving. So it is thereby resolved that Carly's increase in her salary shall take place, I believe, immediately. Is that correct, Juliana? Well, on behalf of the council, congratulations, Carly. Okay, so now, is there any report backs from any of our subcommittees? I know that Rashmi, well, she's not here. She was the chair of the safety subcommittee, is the chair of the diversity committee here regarding the potential resolution. You want anything to report back? Nothing to report back at this time. If there's no other comment, we want to congratulate once again the recipients of the awards. Each and every one of you. We want to congratulate Carly on her increase in her salary, and we look forward to seeing you next month. Our meeting will be what day, Carly? The first Wednesday of July? I believe it's July 6th. We'll send out the notice to the community. Enjoy the end of the school year, everyone, and congratulations. We'll take a 2-minute break before we do our business meeting. Thank you. Thank you for your patience, everyone. We're going to start our business meeting, and we'll start it with the roll call. Present.
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 Okay, so we have the minutes from last month. If you can look through them, it's kind of short. Can we assume that the minutes are passed?
Oh, sorry, hold on, that's the
Okay. So just new business I wanted to talk about. So number one, we had probably the best student representative that this council has ever had, Catherine Pappas. She was a wonderful asset to our community. She could not be here this evening. I believe she has her prom or some school event, but a prom. But I definitely think we as a council should give her some type of certificate, recommendation letter. I mean, she did an outstanding job, and I wouldn't want to not give her any type of acknowledgement because she really spoke up and was a perfect example of what we do, right? So is everyone in agreement that we can maybe get her something, you know, either, I don't know, something for her graduation, a plaque, something acknowledging her service to CEC? We still have money in our budget to do that, right? Anybody have suggestions? Carly, you have any suggestions what we can get her? Okay, so maybe we can get her something. Carly, you look into that. Is everyone in agreement about that? Are we okay? Yeah. Show of hands. Perfect. Next, we have this D37. So I know that you all attended. I thank you for attending last week's town hall. I know it was kind of last minute. We really didn't have a choice. A lot of people here wonder why we're even interviewing. It's not our choice. I'm told that it's the chancellor's decision, but they want to engage with the community. They were part of the D37 process. This community engagement occurred last week as a first time. We heard from the members of the community, kind of similar to what Mr. Cole said, like, why are we even doing this? But the C37 process is for Thursday, June 9th. So CEC presidents are invited, President's Council is invited, UFT. They asked me when I registered if I wanted to bring any CEC members. I wanted to speak to you guys first. So Anne Marie told me she was interested in attending. Well, Wendy told me she wants to attend. If anyone else wants to attend, please let me know tonight so I can write back tomorrow and say that you will be in attendance. I'm going to need your emails, which I probably have. Anybody else plan on attending?
Joe, is that going to be in person?
No, it's a Zoom meeting and it's by invitation. So I would have to give you a name and email tomorrow morning so they can send you the invite for next Thursday. I think it's 6:15, the C37, 6 o'clock.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think. Yeah, okay. So Mr. Chow, you want to attend? Carly, can you just give me these notes that tomorrow I can send it? So we got Mr. Chow, Miss Yu, Ms. Knable.
I'm also interested in attending.
Shirley wants to attend?
I would also like to attend.
And Sana. Anybody else?
Me too.
And Michelle. Perfect. So what I'm going to do is, Carly, I have your emails. I'll just add you on and then I'll let them know and they'll send you an official invitation so you can take part of the C37 process. So you're all going to have to sign non-disclosure agreements, which means you're not supposed to disclose certain details. And it's more private, it's not a public meeting, so I will get you all invited, okay? And then you call me if you don't get anything, all right? Any other items of new business? Anyone? So I know that we had somebody from District 26 come on, I'm a little bit unhappy about that resolution. I know we take our resolution seriously and we vote on our own resolutions. We have a subcommittee. I would suggest that maybe the subcommittee meet and we try to, you know, pass some type of resolution the next term or the next month or the next month or two, because it seems like, you know, not doing anything speaks more volumes than doing something, right? So I'd rather come up with our own resolution, okay? But you handled that very well, Wendy, so thank you for that. Are there any other items of new business? So if there is nothing else to discuss.
I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
Because it's this one thing that I keep on kind of wondering about. The parents came about an after-school program in the school, and I know Michelle. It was Michelle's school, and Michelle got a survey done regarding about the after-school.
Oh, so this is the after-school program that I know there was a meeting. You want to comment?
Yeah, does Michelle want to?
Michelle, do you want to comment?
I mean, yeah, we had the survey. The parents received the survey,
And we actually had a Zoom meeting today with some of the after schools. We to see what they were all about and what they could offer. It was, you know, to see what the parents liked, what they didn't like. So we're actually headed in the right direction. And I want to thank Superintendent Domingo, because she was actually a great help. And she, you know, got the ball moving and got things running. So we're actually, you know, getting things in the right direction, in the right path so far.
I just wanted to ask only because if there's anything that we could do to help other schools that does not have after school programs, but the parents wants it, because I know some parents don't reach out directly to Department of Education. So I just want to know, is there anything that we could help other schools that don't have after school? Like, is there any way that we could help them?
Does the principal of that school need to approve?
So I think something you're asking a good question in terms of something that comes up in District 25 a lot that you might want to consider. So there's two different types of programs that happen across District 25, and that's why I was really happy you had DYCD here, because there are some programs that are offered in schools that are free, and some that are funded programs. So, and yeah, and so I think that the discussion should be around opening up more opportunities for free programs if that is an option for District 25, because it seems that a lot of parents are asking that. And even in the meeting that we had in Michelle's school, that is really what they're aiming for, which is we're willing to take a paid program. Many of our schools have paid programs. Michelle's school did not. We had an open conversation about why, and yes, a principal does need to approve it. As a superintendent, I always say, if you have parents that want a program and you have enough parents that the program will warrant, some of the programs that I reached out to said, you know, I can only run a successful program if I have a certain amount of kids. So, you know, the understanding is you should have that program. Those programs are costly. One of the things that Michelle spoke about right away when she first became a board member, a council member, was, you know, we have free programs across all of our middle schools in the district, in the city, and are they being utilized appropriately? That was the first thing. So Michelle, I started asking those questions too. We've been doing having some of those conversations even most recently when there were students come spring, they were leaving school and going to hang out in places that they shouldn't hang out in. And so we started talking about, like, to parents, are you having your children attend after school programs that are free? You know, and are we offering other opportunities, you know, for students? So that was one of the pieces that, you know, came from Michelle. But I also think the conversation should be, after school programs are pricey, especially if you have more than one child. You know, so if you're paying a certain amount of money a month, it can be costly. I don't think it's for lack of after school programs. I know we spoke about you not having one and having to get one, right? But at first we did it, you did it, and it was and I think 499 went through the same process. It's not so difficult to get a paid program, you know, a funded, you know, one that parents have to pay. I think the conversation might want to be, are there opportunities for us to have more free opportunities for our families?
Yeah, because that question just wondered, I just wanted, after seeing the budget planning, we see, is there any, as a CC member, is there anything we could do to?
So one of the things that we did, and I just want to say, budget planning for schools is very difficult to fund a full after school program. We had a school many years ago who lost their free after-school program, and for a very limited amount of students, it was almost $200,000. So that is not something that a school, you know, many schools would not be able to afford, because that is a lot of money to run those programs. So I do think there's other options for you as a CEC to explore in terms of how we can kind of put District 25 on the map of wanting more of these programs for our students.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have questions on that subject? Okay, so I was wrong when I said we were done. We have one very important thing we have to do is the CEC Superintendent Evaluation for the 2021-2022 term, which will go from July 1st, 2021 through the end of June. So we're gonna have to, I don't know how you guys want to do this. We can either call for an executive session at a later date. In the past, I filled out the superintendent evaluations and circulated to the CEC members via email for like comments, and then we all signed off on it. But we have to have this submitted electronically before June 30th. So how do you guys want to do this? So we have to submit one completed evaluation form, which I sign off on. If you want, as a suggestion, you can submit your forms, and then Carly, you know, will send it to me, and I'll review it, and I'll come up with final form if you all want to review. Mr. Cha?
Thank you. Can we just fill out each one of us like I just did, and then submit it to you, and then you?
We can do that. If you guys are okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Thank you.
Is everyone okay with that? So you should all be getting a form that Carly can circulate and get it back to me, or have Carly send it to me, and then I'll go through all of them and I'll submit one final form, and then I'll circulate it, and then we'll have to I'll sign off on it. And we usually have a very good relationship with our superintendent, and no offenses, I know it seems like we get along all the time, and we probably do, but we do have our differences. But the good thing about Superintendent DeMango is we can have an honest conversation, and I've always had an honest conversation with her regarding her evaluation, which always was positive. So if you guys are okay with that, then we can do it that way.
Should we set a date now?
So if you can get me your forms before June 15th, is that asking for too much? Let's do it in a week. You know, I'd rather have more time. Yeah. So I don't know, you want to meet, I don't know if Mr. Chow, is that what you suggest? I don't, whatever you guys want to do. So Mr. Chow suggested everybody fills out the form and gets it to me, and then I'll finalize one. Or if you want to have an executive session, we can do that, but all the council members would have to be present, right? And we have the C37 next Thursday. That's the 10th, the 9th, right? The 9th.
You usually write it and they all agree.
I think it's easier if everybody fills it out, gets it to me, and I'll come up with, you know, whatever I'll reach out, or, you know, if there's comments, then I'll take your comments, but the ratings are pretty much simple. It's either 3, 2, or 1. So if there's any problem, I'll talk to you guys about it. You guys okay with that? What about the members that are not physically here?
Yeah. So we gotta fill out individual and get it submitted to you, right?
Correct. Or submit it to Carly, she'll get it to me.
Whichever is easy for everybody, I'll follow.
I mean, I think that's easier only because we have the C37 next week, right? So we're going to be bogged down with that. We all have, you know, kids are finishing school. There's a lot going on. I don't know if we're going to have time to do another meeting. Then our meetings are going to be Right, so I think if you get it to me, I can, you know, before the 15th of June, I think I could get it out before the 30th. Carly, you're gonna have to tell Rushmi and Anne Marie. Is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do it that way. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Okay, so I don't know, do we do motions to adjourn anymore, or we just say we're ending the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, okay, so the meeting is hereby adjourned, guys. Next month is a new semi-term, so we have to do our elections and we have to set the dates for our future CDC meetings. So although July is right around the corner, we need to get into business right away. So I look forward to seeing you July 6th, I think it is. And then we'll do all our business for the year in terms of dates, but I want to get the superintendent evaluations out before the 30th. That's our next priority after the C37. And in one sense, it really doesn't make sense to me. We're doing the C37, but then we're doing the evaluations. It's like, maybe if we can get the evaluation out before the C37, then we can probably talk about it during our C37. Can we get that done? Why not? All right, you have Mr. Childs already. So if you guys get it to me before next Thursday, at least we'll have some input. Okay?
Just remind me of Daniel's.
I was just gonna say, did you?
All right, so now meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. Enjoy the
Good night. Get them safe. Bye.
Thank you.